Hey friends, if this is your first time on my channel, you are most definitely welcome. If you are not subscribed, go ahead and click that subscribe button right now. Y'all, we've been growing, we are hustling, we are trying to get there, we're trying to make this family bigger. So go ahead and subscribe, because I would hate for you to miss out on videos and miss out on the great network of people we got going on here. So all my pretty pre-meds, please stand up, go ahead and subscribe. If you're not even pre-med, still subscribe, because why not? If you're a returning watcher, thank you so much for sticking with your girl, Shoni Shone. Yes, I mess with y'all. Thank you for subscribing, and thank you for coming back once again. Today I want to be talking about what I think is one of the most important parts of your medical school application, and that is your personal statement. I strongly believe that my personal statement was one of the biggest selling points for myself, and was one of the reasons why I think medical schools were so intrigued by me and wanted to meet me in person. If you are interested to know how to make your personal statement pop and the things you need to include in your personal statement in order to get in, stick around for the video. The biggest part of applying to medical school that you tend to hear a lot, and that's mostly publicized, is your stats of like your GPA, your MCAT score, all that kind of stuff. And I'm not saying they're not important. They are very important, and that is what will get your foot in the door. Don't get me wrong. You still need to do well in school, and you still need to have a good MCAT score, but I think your stats are just one part of the story. You have to think of your application as a story. You are telling the story of why you're pursuing medicine and why the school should pick you. And your numbers only give a small part of a larger picture, right? And I think the personal statement is really what is supposed to be the glue in your application. That's what ties everything together, from your grades, from your extracurricular activities, from your recommendations. Your personal statement is really what ties everything in, and is really central to who you are as a person, and really is the only space where you get to verbally say why you're pursuing medicine and what it is about you that makes you special. I'm gonna help you guys get there. I remember when I was putting my application materials together, and my human physiology professor, who also wrote one of my recommendations and was really a good mentor for me since I took his class, one thing he told me, and I'm gonna tell you guys, is that the purpose of your personal statement is to get the medical schools to interview you. You want them to read that personal statement and say, we need to meet this person in person. There's something about this personal statement that just makes us want to see you as in real life. So that is the purpose of your personal statement. A good personal statement is well written, of course. You gotta have writing skills. I think a good personal statement would have had multiple rough drafts before you got to the final version. And I mean that. Like, I think you could get away with a college paper and not having many drafts, but for your personal statement, you really should have a couple drafts. If you're really working at making sure that your personal statement is the best version of itself, you should have multiple drafts. You know, as I was rereading my own personal statement and really evaluating how do I want to make this video, I came up with the acronym. I don't know if it exists in real life. I don't think it does, but we're gonna make this a thing, and we're gonna make this go viral. So I think the best personal statements have CAPS. C-A-P-S, CAPS. That is what any personal statement that is gonna get your foot in the door for an interview needs to have, CAPS. And I'm gonna tell you guys what each letter stands for. So the C in CAPS is convey why medicine. Your personal statement needs to explain, why are you pursuing medicine? Why do you want to be a doctor? Like, if your personal statement does not give any insight into why you're pursuing this, you're gonna have a very hard time getting medical schools to want to interview you, because if they don't even understand on paper why you want to be a doctor, what's the point of meeting you? Like, you don't want to wait until the interview for it to finally click of like, oh, this is why she wants to be a doctor, or oh, this is why he wants to be a doctor. Your personal statement needs to convey why medicine. And there's multiple ways you can do that, right? I think you can do that through anecdotes. You could do that through like personal stories, like maybe something happened in your childhood, or you know, you had a life experience with a family member or something like that. You could portray that through clinical experiences, talking about the experiences you had either shadowing, working in a clinic, working with patients, working with others, working in health. You can use all those different kind of stories to convey why you're pursuing medicine. And I think that is the best and the most compelling way to explain why you're pursuing medicine, because you have to give admissions committees, you have to give them insight into what it was that led to the decision making, right? Like, you know best why you're pursuing medicine, but you have to be able to convey that to someone else who isn't in your head, who hasn't experienced the things you've experienced, and who doesn't know who you are. You have to be able to convey that. The A stands for address any red flags. So this may not apply to everyone, so I'll guess the A in the caps is kind of optional, but you want to upfront admit and address any red flags that may be in your application. So for example, for me, the biggest red flag in my application was my GPA. My GPA was it was boo-boo for most of my college career, to be honest with you. And I knew that was a big red flag, and I knew that the question would come up of like, why didn't I do well in school, and why was it not until my senior year that things actually turned around? So in my personal statement, I had to dedicate some space to explain what happened with my grades. Like, I had to say, I'm acknowledging this is what it was, this is what it is, and this is what changed, right? You don't want to address red flags in a negative light. You don't want to say, what was me? I know I did bad. Please still accept me, blah, 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 blah. You don't want to do that. You want to say the facts. I didn't do well in school. Here's what I did to change, and this is how it's influenced me now. And then you move on. You don't want to dwell on the red flags for too long, but you have to address them, because if your GPA is below a 3.0 and you don't bring it up in your personal statement, the adcoms are going to say, who's gonna explain why you didn't do well in this class, or why you got an F in this class, or why you got a D in this class? Who's gonna explain that? The only person that's gonna explain that is you, my dear. So you have to address red flags in your application, but don't address them in a negative light. I remember the very first draft of my personal statement, the way I had addressed my red flags was in a very interesting kind of way. Because I actually did reread it this past week, and when I reread, I was like, wow, I'm complaining a lot, and I'm saying, oh, I did so bad, da 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 da. And it just kind of sounds like I'm whining, versus when I read my final personal statement, I was like, wow, this was straight to the point and really shows how I bounced back. If you guys want to see the first and last draft of my personal statement, and you want to see a video where I do a run through and compare my first draft with my final draft, please give this video a thumbs up and comment below. If we can get this video to 30 likes, I will post my personal statement, the first and final draft. Other red flags may not just be your grades. Like, if you had some kind of institutional action taken against you, maybe the school asked you to leave for a year, or you got in trouble for cheating or something like that, you have to address it in your personal statement. You have to explain yourself and explain why whatever that red flag is not who you are today, right? The next thing is P. You want to predict how you will use your medical education. I think after you're able to convey why medicine, and you address or explain any red flags, the next question that may pop up in AdCom's mind is, we get it why you want to pursue medicine, but what are you going to do with that medical education? Like, you can know why you want to pursue medicine, but not know what you want to do with your medical education. So it's important that you are able to verbalize and predict, this is what I intend to do with my medical education, right? So for some people, they may be applying for MD, PhD. That personal statement as to what you're going to do with your medical education is going to look very different than someone who maybe is only pursuing an MD, right? The way they want to use their medical education is going to be different, right? And you want to give the AdComs a visualization of what you will do with medical education and why it is that you need a medical education to accomplish what you want to accomplish in health, right? Because you can say you want to heal people, you can say you want to help people, but guess what? Getting an MD is not the only way to do that. And they want to know, well, what is it about a medical education as opposed to a nursing education or a physician assistant education? What is it that's different that will help you accomplish whatever it is you want to accomplish? So you need to be able to predict what you're going to use with that education. It's kind of hard for me to explain the way I phrase my predict without kind of going in depth with my personal statement. And as I said, if you guys want to see that personal statement, we have to get this video to 30 likes. The S stands for show that you exhibit the core competencies. So if you go on AAMC.org's website, they have a page where it says the core competencies that they expect premeds to have if you want to pursue medicine. And there's, I think, 15 of them. Some of the core competencies are service orientation, social skills, adaptability, capacity for improvement, teamwork, cultural competence, ethical responsibility, oral communication, written communication, reliability. But you want to show how you exhibit these core competencies. And of course, there's other parts of your application that will also do that for you, like your recommendations may speak to certain core competencies. Your grades may speak to other core competencies, but your personal statement is also a place for you to show through your storytelling, these are how I exhibit these core competencies. Like oral communication, I wouldn't expect that to really come across in your application because it's all on paper, right? So the oral communication really comes in when you get interviewed, right? The written communication is shown by your personal statement. If you do not have a well-written personal statement, they're gonna look at you like you funny. They're like, how you have a whole ass college education and you can't write a personal statement? And I think especially with S and C as well, storytelling is vital. You must be able to tell a story in your personal statement. Your personal statement is not just you listing things. You have to weave something that makes sense. You have to connect. You have to have a theme in your personal statement. So for example, the theme in my personal statement was culture and medicine. That was the themes of my personal statement. And from the very first line of my personal statement to the very last line of my personal statement, you were reminded of that theme and you saw how everything flowed. So it's really important for you maybe to start with the theme and saying, okay, what are some things that I want to come across, or what is it that is pulling me to medicine? And for me, culture and medicine was kind of my biggest why medicines, right? And I used that as my general theme to kind of form, okay, this is what happened to me, this is how I've seen this play out in my clinical experiences, and this is how I'm going to use my medical education because of this. So you want to be able to tell a story. You have to hook your reader. If your personal statement is not interesting to read, you're going to have a hard time getting people to want to interview you. You have to think of the admission officer who has just read like 40 other applications that day. It's the end of the day. They're tired. They want to go home. They're tired of looking at people talk about, you know, why they want to go to medical school. They're exhausted. And you're the very last application they're going to read that day. You don't want to bore them. You want them to snap up and be like, whoa, let me pay more attention to that application. You want them to like sit upright and be like, oh my goodness, like this is so compelling, like I need to find out who this person is. Like you want to be the one that turns around their day from reading tons of applications, because the reality is a lot of people are applying to medical school and a lot of people are not getting in. You know, a lot of people do not make it to the interview round. So you really want to be in that bunch that makes it to the interview round, and the only way to do that is to spark, right? And don't force it. Don't try to write in a style that you're not used to writing. Don't be anything other than yourself when writing your personal statement, because at the end of the day, if a school will not interview you and you've put your all out there and you said, this is who I am, this is how I write, this is my story, they're not meant for you. Focus on the schools that find your story interesting. So that was just a small tip of advice on how to structure your personal statement. As I said, if you guys want to see my personal statement, see how my editing process went, if you want me to actually annotate my final version of my personal statement where I highlight the caps part and show how everything kind of fits in, please give this video a thumbs up. If you have finished watching this video and you are not subscribed to your girl, go ahead and click that subscribe button, then hit the notification so that way you know every single time I upload a video. And your girl Shoni Shone will see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.